Hello and a very warm welcome to today's 10-minute teaser. I'm really pleased to have Ben Hibberd with us. Welcome, Ben.
Hi there.
Hi, great that you could be with us. So Ben is from the Educational Psychology Service in Enfield. Could you start, Ben, by giving us a bit of an overview as to what your input is going to be to Enfield's professional learning programme next year?
Absolutely, yeah. So there's going to be sort of 3 workshops that I'm going to be holding with 2 dates for each. The first one's actually called Coping Toolbox for School Leaders, and that's focused around looking at what kind of strategies and techniques you can use as a school leader for areas like mindfulness or thinking about relaxation techniques when times get particularly stressful. The same kind of thing for the second session is called Coping Toolbox for School Staff. So again, it's an adaptation of that toolbox that is focused on school leaders, but for all school staff this time to access. And finally, the third one is Making Friends with Your Mindset. So it's really looking at those negative thought patterns that might be sort of naturally or organically occurring, and looking to sort of amend those, maybe sort of how we can cognitively sort of target those and change the way that we think about whether it's teaching or learning within school or even on a personal level as well. So three main headings there.
Excellent. They sound extremely interesting and very useful. Could you tell us a little bit about the work of the Educational Psychology Service, the EPS?
Sure. So Enfield EPS looks to support children with special educational needs or learning difficulties. And we do that predominantly across 4 headings of SEN from the Code of Practice. And those being social, emotional and mental health, cognition and learning, communication and interaction, or sensory and physical needs. So they're the sort of the 4 areas that we would target our advice, our recommendations and interventions around.
Excellent, thank you. So thinking back to maybe one of the programs, the Coping Toolbox or the changing of the mindset, could you maybe share some recent success you've had either at a school level or a teacher or school leader level?
Absolutely, yeah. So in terms of the Coping Toolbox for school staff, I'm part of a project that is currently training and facilitating supervision for ELSAs within Enfield EPS. So ELSA standing for Emotional Literacy Support Assistant. And we use several of the sort of techniques from the Coping Toolbox within that training. We look at areas such as attachment, mindfulness, emotional literacy within that sort of form of training. And we've already had feedback from the ELSA course, from senior leadership teams, from high-level teaching assistants, from TAs, from LSAs, all saying that it's so valuable to have these skills, this toolbox really available to them to use, not only with the children and young people that they work with, but also themselves and other staff members. Because they found it invaluable to apply those within a sort of educational setting.
Oh, that's really positive. Thanks for sharing that. So in terms of any of the 3 programs that you are running, is there any particular preparation that you'd like anybody to do beforehand?
I think that's the advantage of these 3 programs is that there's very little preparation required. It's simply a case of being, making the time in your diaries and turning up really with an open mind and an ability to interact. It's always great to have those who are willing to sort of chat on the chat facility or speak out if necessary, and we can break into smaller groups as well if the numbers are larger, so that we can sort of that can be the catalyst for a bit of discussion around some of the points that we talk about.
Great, thank you. So as you know, we have asked all presenters to share a quote that resonates with you, that maybe has a connection back to the content of the programme. Could you choose one or more and from the 3 programmes and share why you chose that quote?
Of course. So on the Coping Toolbox for School Leaders, I believe I've added the quote, "Self-care is not selfish. You cannot serve from an empty vessel." Now, I think this one really resonates with me. That's one from the Minds Journal website. But I've sort of held that true all the way through my professional learning and my sort of continuing professional development, really, because it's applied to areas like nurture groups that I've been involved with as well, as that sort of nurture leaders and teachers. You need to fill your own cup and your own vessel, really, before giving out to others. So these are sessions, really, certainly the first two coping toolbox sessions are sessions to really focus on your own resources and building those resources, no more so at a time like at the moment, post coronavirus, when you know, we're all feeling that sort of sense of physiological tiredness and jaded, you know. So we can think about some of these techniques to apply, you know, now and at the start of next term, you know, when we feel a bit more refreshed.
Great. I like that quote too. Thank you very much. So the dates of the programs, we have the Coping Toolbox for leaders in September, 2 sessions, for school staff in October, 2 sessions, and then the Developing Your Mindset is going to be in January, so 2 sessions for each of those. So that just leaves me to thank Ben very much for giving up your time and answering these questions. Really useful. Thanks a lot. Thank you. And finally, is there any social media contact information for the EPS?
There is. We have a Twitter handle, and that is @Enfield EPS. So @Enfield EPS, if you wanted to get engaged in any of the online social media discussions or debates, or show any interest in these programs as well. And I look forward to seeing you know, hopefully a lot of people on each of them in the near future.
Excellent. Thanks very much. And thanks again for your time, Ben.
Thanks so much, Anna. Cheers.